Good morning. My name is Heidi Marks, and I am honored to be reading this citation today. The highest distinction the Senate of a university can confer upon an individual is an honorary doctorate. At the University of Manitoba, the criteria include distinguished achievement in scholarship, the arts, or public service. Our honorary graduate this morning is Dr. Catherine, or Kate, Bowler. Dr. Kate Bowler tells the truth about life's hardest moments. She is an antidote to a culture of algorithms that nudge us away from what is real. A raised-in-Winnipeg historian and New York Times best-selling author, she is internationally recognized for her profound contributions to public understanding of faith, resilience, and imperfection. After being diagnosed with stage 4 cancer at the age of 35, she began writing and speaking about what it means to live when the future is uncertain. Her best-selling memoirs, Everything Happens for a Reason and Other Lies I've Loved, and No Cure for Being Human and Other Truths I Need to Hear, have touched millions, helping readers navigate their own suffering and loss without resorting to easy answers. Everything Happens for a Reason is particularly meaningful to me because I listened to it as an audiobook while I was driving around the Pennsylvania countryside with my son's aunts, making funeral arrangements for his father who died of stage 4 lung cancer in 2022. It was helpful to all of us as we struggled to make sense of this loss and our grief. Bowler confronts these difficult topics on her award-winning podcast, Everything Happens, where she has deeply human conversations with guests like author Malcolm Gladwell, comedian Tig Notaro, and political satirist Rick Mercer. Bowler's voice stands out in a society preoccupied with curating faux perfection and touting toxic positivity. She offers compassion, honesty, and a vision of grace that meets people where they are. As a professor at Duke Divinity School, Bowler has brought insight and clarity to a cultural theology that equates success with moral worth. Her book, Blessed, A History of the American Prosperity Gospel, was the first and remains the most authoritative study of this uniquely American religious movement. Bowler's work reminds us that embracing life's limitations, including limited resources and time and money, can reveal its deepest beauty and help us navigate our most pressing collective and individual moral challenges. Mr. Chancellor, it is an honor for me to ask on behalf of the Senate of the University of Manitoba that you confer upon Kate Bowler the degree of Doctor of Letters honoris causa for her contributions as a scholar, storyteller, and public voice of hope.
By virtue of the authority vested in me as Chancellor of this university, I admit you to the degree of Doctor of Letters honoris causa, with all of the rights and privileges thereto appertaining.
I now invite Dr. Kate Bowler to address Convocation.
I feel like we just got married. Thank you. That was a beautiful exchanging of vows. Guys, this is about you. Congratulations, graduates. You can have everything you want immediately. Conquer the world. Start anywhere you'd like. These are just some of the things I would be forced to say if this were an American graduation speech. But we're Canadian, thank God. I want to celebrate today that you came to the University of Manitoba to become a particular kind of person. 2 years ago, 4 years ago, how long have you been here? You felt that strange and wonderful pull out of the ordinary. Before this, you were doing something else. And more importantly, you were thinking different thoughts entirely. Isn't that just the strangest part about this whole enterprise? Is that you are sitting here changed, wonderfully changed, gloriously changed, slightly more in debt. I have a theory about the kind of person that you've become, and I learned it from two people who are sitting over there. Karen Jensen and Jerry Bowler were professors at the University of Manitoba for a combined total of 60 years. They taught dozens of classes. They taught thousands of students. They administered many an exam you probably hated. They are my parents. And I grew up just right over there. Like, for context, I walked here today to the ceremony. I learned to drive in the parking lot just outside. This university has been my playground, my summer camp, my babysitter, my library, the reason I still have crippling guilt late into the night when I realize that I have 3 library books that are now decades overdue. But this is the place where my parents became convinced that they were educating a particular kind of person, and they gave that advice to me. You already know it because this is already who you are. They said, Kate, be interested, be interesting. Be interested, be amazed by the person in front of you. Ask a question, then ask an even better one. Don't be content with what you already know, because sometimes what you already know is just song lyrics. Be engaged, be irritated, be enthralled, but most importantly, be surprised by what you learn. When you are interested, you're open to the best ideas and then also the best possible interpretation of the miracle of a human being that's in front of you. One of the loveliest things about those two people over there is that they really believe from the bottom of their hearts that we are all at our best when we are curious. The world does not want you to be curious. Let's be real. They want you to act like you already know. Or maybe even better, no, just take their word for it. They want you to reject what you don't understand and to treat, by default, anything less than pure condescending certainty as a disease of the powerless. But you can't be that way. You're too interested. And even better, you're interesting. Be interesting, said my parents, which really sounded like an insult the first time they said it. And I took it personally for a few years before I sort of got the gist. Be interesting. Read a book. Develop an academic obsession. Fall down a well of your own research. Don't react to the daily scroll, but pause, reflect, find a citation, then say what needs to be said. Develop your costly mind and spend it lavishly on others. The world no longer believes in experts, but too bad you're an expert. That makes you a necessary citizen. And that is so wild because the very act of being interested makes you interesting. You came here not just to go to school, which we are so glad that you did, but it's because you then cultivated the very qualities that make you of service to this fragile world. There's a fundamental reorientation that happens when you decided 2 years ago, 4 years ago, to come here and be interested and interesting. You feel tasked by your education. You feel commissioned by the curiosity that brought you here in the first place. And oh, how we need a person like that. A person like that can't be coerced out of kindness or manipulated by any of the many forms of tyranny that threaten to destabilize this great, inclusive country of ours. A person like that cannot be distracted from their purpose. Nope, you're too busy being interested and interesting. Because anywhere, everywhere, conveniently, inconveniently, at funerals, at job interviews, in the car with a friend, you're extremely preoccupied with being the person our parents raised us to be. So congratulations, graduates, on earning your degree. But most of all, for joining in that strange and wonderful sense that you and your beautiful brain rightfully belong to everyone. Thank you, friends.